Hey, welcome back to another episode of FutureDrBrynn. I am Brynn, and I really appreciate you taking the time to connect with us. Today we're going to explore something called learned helplessness. Before I get into this, let's talk about a few examples that might lead to this for some. As you may or may not know from my previous videos, I am a doctoral student as well as an actor and a fight choreographer. As an actor, you spend countless auditions preparing for the role, putting your all into the role, going in, auditioning or self-taping, and then you don't hear back. And you do that over and over and over again. And the concept that actors have really thick skin because we're always hearing no, but we are just waiting for that one yes, I want to adjust that. Because we as actors don't actually get no's most of the time. Most of the time, we just don't hear back. And that can be really hard, especially if, as an actor, you're putting in the work, if you're going to class all the time, or if you're working on stuff by yourself, you're self-taping, you're getting headshots, doing all of this work, and then you don't hear back. Over and over and over again. Or take applying for a job. Especially in this day and age, sometimes applying for jobs can be pretty difficult. You feel like all you do is submit and submit and submit on Indeed or all these other job sites, and you don't really hear anything back. In both of these cases, whether you hear no's or you just don't hear anything, you're trying your best, but nothing's budging. Or, take for example, dating. In the modern world, there are apps on apps on apps to find your special someone. And sometimes, whether you're meeting with these people or you're just swiping and swiping and swiping, it feels like you're hitting a brick wall. What can sometimes happen in these situations when you hit that brick wall consistently, it can start to feel like you have no autonomy over the situation whatsoever, and what you're doing doesn't really matter. It can feel like you're helpless to the situation, that you have no control, that there's no point in even trying. This is what's sometimes considered learned helplessness. This is essentially when you are repeatedly met with these uncontrollable environments or situations or stressors in which you feel powerless to, you can't control. It teaches you that maybe you shouldn't even bother with the parts that you can control. So in the case of acting, you go 6 months without hearing anything back, maybe you shouldn't even bother auditioning, right? You can control the audition, you can send that in. What you can't control is their decision on the other side, which sometimes doesn't even have anything to do with you. Or in the case of finding a job, you have control over your resume, you have control over how you apply to these positions, but if you're not hearing anything back, then why bother? Or dating. You've swiped so many times, but no one's getting back to you. Why even bother swiping? So that resilience that us actors have that keeps us coming back for more, that resilience of, wow, I love my job, I'm just gonna keep doing it even though I don't hear anything back for 6 months. That can help combat and prevent learned helplessness. And what is resilience anyways? Resiliency is how quickly do you bounce back after things don't really go your way. Well, okay, so we know what learned helplessness is. We know that resilience can help prevent it, but how do we get there? Flexibility and adaptability. This is an oversimplified way of saying, hey, when there's an obstacle in your way, don't just stand there staring at the obstacle, find other ways around it. If your first route didn't go as planned, maybe walk to the side of it. Maybe find a way to crawl over it. Maybe dig a tunnel under it, find other ways, flexible and adaptable. A flexible and adaptable mindset can keep your mind open to new possibilities, as opposed to just closing off completely. If you're standing in front of an obstacle and you're getting mad at the fact that the obstacle is there, it's not really gonna do you any good because the obstacle is just an obstacle. Most of the time, the obstacle isn't gonna get up and walk away. Now, in some cases, that obstacle is huge. And maybe you've stayed flexible and adaptable and you've tried so many possibilities to get around it, but the obstacle is just too big. That obstacle might be so big that at some point you just say, well, do I ever just give up? And that's a personal choice. If the end goal is not something that you really want to keep pursuing, then maybe it is better left alone than to keep trying to find new ways around it. Don't put so much weight on it. It's based on an individual value system. And no, it does not mean that you failed. Although I've been familiar with the concept of learned helplessness for a while, I am still learning it. There are some instances in my life where there were things that I just kept trying and trying and trying to get past, but it wasn't something that I really valued, but I was still putting this pressure on myself to go find a way through it, or around it, or over it. solely because I felt like I was going to be a failure if I didn't finish it. This is not the case. I'll say it again. This is not the case. The thing is, life is a series of choices and challenges and risks, and sometimes it takes 1,000 times to get to where you want to go. And sometimes there are systems in place that make that obstacle huge. Ultimately, if it is something of value to you, keep going, keep pursuing it, find new ways around it. If it is not of value to you, then let it go. So what can we do about this? Well, if what I've just described in this video sounds a little bit like something you're going through, write your thoughts down. That's step one. If you write your thoughts down and you see them line by line, all listed out, you can now see exactly what your mind is telling you. One of the best ways to see how this is affecting your mental health is to literally see it. Stay tuned for a video on cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, in the future, which will dive much deeper into this technique, but just start by writing things down. Write it, look at it, determine if it's true. The second thing you can do about this is engage in actions that give you a sense of that self-efficacy back. A little bit of autonomy over your own life can go a long way. Now, you can either pick something that's related to the situation or unrelated. On the one hand, if you feel so powerful and in control of your life when you go on a hike, or you play music, or you do Muay Thai, do that. Do more of that. Do more things that make you feel grounded in yourself. If you want to attack the problem head on, you can do little things that you know you can achieve to get you to that goal. Back to my acting example. You're taking classes, you're self-submitting, or your agent's submitting for you. Maybe you're getting out and meeting new people in the industry, but nothing seems to budge. What can you do? Maybe you get new headshots if that's affordable. Maybe you break down your old self-tapes and think about what you could change. What about jobs? Well, you've applied online 100 times to places through Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever it is, and no response. Well, maybe take a look at your resume. Find someone else to take a look at your resume. Walk into the business. Connect with that person on social media. Connect with that person in real life. These are just things that are off the top of my head, but you get the gist. If there's something small that you can do that makes you feel like you are working your way towards your goal, then do it. Instead of your current weekly routine, what can you change? What can you adjust? What else can you do to work towards your goal? You want to bring back that self-efficacious feeling of, yeah, that's my goal, and I can achieve it. There is something I can do about it. There is a point. Ultimately, a theme that's going to be throughout my videos is you have to watch what you're telling yourself, because it's either going to drag you down or propel you forward. Sometimes we think things are facts, but they're not, and we don't have any evidence towards it. Just because you didn't get the call today doesn't mean you never will. I think the thing to take away from this video is what learned helplessness is, how to spot it in yourself, how to prevent it with resilience, and also what you can do to protect your own mental health. Thank you again for exploring this concept with me. If you haven't already, check out my other videos here, subscribe, and I will see you next time.